Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to take you back in time to the story of a man who didn't just dream of freedom, but turned that dream into the foundation of a great nation. This is the inspiring and unforgettable story of George Washington, the first president of the United States, a leader, a warrior, and a symbol of courage and unity. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732 in Westmoreland County, Virginia. He was the son of Augustine and Mary Ball Washington. His father was a successful farmer, but when George was just 11 years old, tragedy struck. His father died. This early loss taught young George the values of independence and responsibility. As a boy, Washington was known for his honesty and discipline. You might have heard the famous legend when he cut down his father's cherry tree and confessed, saying, "I cannot tell a lie." While historians debate whether that story is true, it perfectly captures his character, a man who valued truth above all else. By his teenage years, Washington had become skilled in mathematics and surveying, measuring lands across Virginia. But deep down, he dreamed of something greater, serving his country. In 1753, his courage was tested. At just 21 years old, George Washington was sent by the British governor to deliver a message deep into the wilderness to French forces. A mission so dangerous, few men would dare to take it. He faced freezing rivers, wild terrain, and the threat of enemy attack. Yet he completed it. This mission marked the beginning of the French and Indian War, and made Washington a hero in Virginia. During that war, Washington showed extraordinary bravery. At the Battle of Monongahela in 1755, bullets tore through his coat. Horses were shot beneath him, but he refused to retreat. His men began to whisper, "God must be protecting him." From that moment, people saw him as a man destined for greatness. After years of military service, Washington returned home to Mount Vernon, his family plantation. There he married a wealthy widow, Martha Custis, in 1759. Their marriage brought stability and love into his life. But peace was short-lived, for soon a storm was brewing, a storm called Revolution. By the 1760s, the American colonies were growing restless under British rule. Unfair taxes, no representation, the people had had enough. Washington, though once loyal to Britain, could no longer stand the injustice. He joined the growing movement for freedom. When the American Revolution began in 1775, the Continental Congress looked for a leader to command their army, and all eyes turned to George Washington. He was appointed commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, but the task was nearly impossible. His troops were poorly trained, badly fed, and short of weapons. The British Army was the most powerful in the world. Yet, Washington's courage never wavered. He led his men through freezing winters, hunger, and despair. The darkest moment came at Valley Forge in the winter of 1777-1778. The soldiers were starving, cold, and dying of disease. Many wanted to give up. But Washington walked among them, sharing their suffering, lifting their spirits. His presence gave them hope. He didn't just lead from the front, he led from the heart. Then came the turning point, Christmas night, 1776. Washington made a daring plan. He crossed the icy Delaware River with his men and launched a surprise attack on the Hessian forces at Trenton, New Jersey. Against all odds, he won. That victory changed everything. It revived the revolution and inspired the entire nation to fight again. After 8 long years of war, the impossible happened. In 1781, with help from the French, Washington's army defeated the British at the Battle of Yorktown. The world watched in shock as Great Britain surrendered, and America became free. When the war ended, the people wanted Washington to be king, but he refused. He said, "Having now finished the work assigned me, I retire from the great theater of action." He returned to Mount Vernon, a humble farmer once more. But history wasn't done with him yet. In 1789, when the new United States Constitution was adopted, the people unanimously chose George Washington as the first president of the United States. As president, Washington set the standard for all who would follow. He refused to abuse power, created the first cabinet, and established traditions that still define American leadership today. He believed in unity, not party politics. His farewell address warned against division, saying, "The unity of government is the main pillar in the edifice of your real independence." After serving 2 terms, Washington voluntarily stepped down in 1797, showing the world that true leaders know when to let go of power. In retirement, he returned once more to Mount Vernon, where he lived peacefully with Martha. On December 14, 1799, George Washington passed away at age 67. His final words were, "It is well." He left behind more than a nation. He left behind an idea. That freedom is worth fighting for. That leadership is about service, not power. Today, more than 2 centuries later, the name George Washington still stands as a symbol of honesty, courage, and unity. The man who led a revolution, built a nation, and walked away from a throne.